But I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages
About
who are
damn
still
time.
being held,
Thank you.
Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect.
You don't care. Stop. I get it was 9 months ago. You do not care. I can almost guarantee you what she's about to say is not going to be on the Palestinian side. I can guarantee you, and I know you know that too. So don't give me this garbage of, well, you know, I want you to retaliate, but it matters how you retaliate. Stupid.
Innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden is now...
There's no deal in the making, huh? I wonder why there's no deal in the making. Can you answer that, guys? Can you tell me why there's no deal in the making? Maybe because he doesn't want a deal. And because the one deal there was going to be that you added territory in Gaza into the deal at the last second. And of course, you're not Hamas is not going to agree with taking part of their land. You've already taken 90% of their land. So they're not going to give you more of their land because you'll just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. That's how it works. So miss me with that garbage.
Not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7th.
October 7th. I'm going to go crazy. Okay.
Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young.
Wrong. What are we, 10 months in? Don't we know now that there was at least 400 Israeli military personnel who were killed? Are we hiding that too? Like, is that something we're just not talking about anymore? Or it's just mind-boggling. It's always October 7th, 1,200 dead. October 7th, 1,200 dead. October 7th. That's all I hear. That's all you can say. That's all you can say. That's your only comeback. That's the only thing you can talk about. It pisses me off.
Young people who were simply attending a concert.
Oh
Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so.
Yeah, of course we would. We literally just had a 20-year war in Afghanistan, and before that in Iran, that we killed, over 200 to 500,000 innocent people? Absolutely we would, because that's all we care about. Getting in wars that we should not be in.
Matters, because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers.
You don't care.
What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue.
You are the vice president. We are 11 months into this war. War, conflict, slaughter, whatever you want to call it. You want a ceasefire, you say, huh? You're really trying hard, aren't you? You're really trying hard with that ceasefire, aren't you? You're really, really, really trying to get that ceasefire done, aren't you?
Continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli
Wrong. One-state solution. Give back the land to Palestine, period.
people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran.
Of course you will.
And
of course you will. If you guys haven't watched the rest of the debate, she's already pretty much gave the green light for more money to Ukraine. What are we doing here? We have people dying on the streets. We have people who can't pay for simple groceries. And so we want to give another 80 plus billion to Ukraine. And now we're going to give even more to Israel. And of course, you guys already know we've been giving Israel, what, $10 to $12 billion a year for the last, 20 plus years? That's not going to change. Both of these candidates are not going to change that because they're both controlled by AIPAC. And I think we all know who controls AIPAC. It's pretty clear. So, stupid.
Any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security.
Yeah. Kind of hard to rebuild Gaza when you've completely demolished it. And there's literally nothing left. It's just gone. It's just rubble. What of all the buildings, 90% of the buildings that were inhabited are inhabited that are completely gone. They're just in rubble. Rebuild? Why the hell did you start in the first place?
Self-determination and the dignity they
so
so
tiring,
rightly
guys.
deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up. Far worse than people understand what's going on over there.
It's true.
But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not.
If she doesn't hate Israel, if she hated Israel, she would actually be giving some aid to Palestine instead of Israel. You two are both controlled by the same people.
Not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone.
Can't about that.
It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions.
It would have happened either way. I get what he's saying, and I somewhat agree to what he's saying here. But they would have found a way. Let's be honest. They would have found a way with their other proxies in the Middle East.
Sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money.
What about the IDF? Are you going to bring up the IDF's terror on the children of Palestine? Or are you just going to leave that terror? We're just going to leave that terror out. We're only going to bring up the Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran terror. But we're not going to bring up the terror who's killed over 40,000 people in the last 10 months. But okay.
It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that he's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
All right. Look, I am not a Trump fan. I don't like Trump. But the one thing I'll give him credit for is his foreign policy is actually pretty banging. I'm not going to lie.
It is well known that he
Besides
said
Israel,
of Putin
we'll see what happens
that
with that if
he
he gets
can
in.
do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what
true?
he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are.
They're done with Israel. Okay. Look, I didn't expect anything different from this debate. I wanted to see if there was actually policy that they were going to talk about how they're going to get a ceasefire done. But of course, it's just this, because they're both controlled by the same puppets. It's just this. It's all talk. Different words. It's all talk. And what can you say? Is anybody shocked by this? I'm not shocked. It's all talk. There was no how are you going to get a ceasefire done? Tell me how you're going to do that. Don't just tell me you're going to, because of course you're both going to tell me you're going to. Tell me how. Give me some policy. But they're both clowns. I'm sorry. I know I'm not going to make a lot of friends with this video, and you vote for who you want, but I'm going to tell you right now, no matter what, nothing is going to change, because they're both very clear that they are both controlled by AIPAC. Period. End of story. And as long as they're controlled by AIPAC and those people, they are going to do everything in their power to give more money to Israel. It's that simple. So I don't know if you guys were expecting anything different from this debate. This is really what I care about. Obviously, I live in America and I care about the economy and all that stuff. But this is just a video on the Israel-Hamas conflict. Again, not a war. Sick and tired of people calling it a war. It's a slaughter. It's a conflict. And I'm sick and tired of that. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.